Do you see anyone could just follow the same system if you just got access to a computer and just follow that in a coaching space as well?
I think the key was when we came into, and I'm sure Matt would agree, is just the access we had to you, the way you ran it, and that coaching that you were giving us. You're able to step us through the things like those new processes step by step. Yeah, that'd be my answer to your question. I think is having access to the coach itself. Like the resources are great, but being able to reach out to you was what really made the difference.
Before you came over to work with me, like what were you struggling with as a teacher, sort of starting off?
Well, being my first gig, I didn't have much to compare it to. Just a level of organisation in the Google Drive, for example, the way that the resources were organised, the use of the website wasn't something I'd seen at my pracs previous, and it was just way more organised. So someone fresh coming in, it was so easy to just pick it up and run with it.
So if it's easy for them to just sort of take the system and go and then deliver.
The assessment processes, like the checklists, are just really clearly laid out what the expectations were, when it had to be finished by. There was no confusion about what you had to do and when you had to finish it.
Yeah, cool. So just super simple systems just to say, hey, this is what you need to do and this is by when.
I just think having that on a bit of paper and being able to follow that process made it foolproof.
I suppose the mentoring with the online systems, how did you find the guidance?
Having yourself there just to run through the structure of everything, it was really good. Like coming in being computer literate, and I think, yeah, it made it super easy. And having you sit there and say, because you were really clear up front, this is what we've got. Here's the Google Drive. Here's where it links to the Google site. All the numbering is the same. It was just bang, bang, bang.
So I just made the delivery of like the course a lot more easy.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
even in the back end, knowing where to store my resources that I might add was really, like, it was really clear what the expectation of me was.
If you didn't have like that system or structure, how long do you reckon it would have taken? Or how much time do you reckon it saved having that sort of system ready to go and all the expectation? This is how you're going to do it.
In comparison to, they were all paper folder based, and that's not something they were really comfortable with me taking home because they only had a couple of copies. But having it all digital, obviously I've got my laptop, I can take that home and I can just peruse like as you want to when you're starting a new gig. You want to be all over it. So you spend that extra hour or two overnight just flicking through, making sure you understand where everything is, and having the digital platform for that, it was super helpful. Just those systems all being digital, super helpful.
Awesome. So you can sort of take it at your own pace and
Absolutely.
really become confident. Like we're all on the same page. This is how we run things. This is why we do it that way. But then building that group of like-minded people. How did you find that impacted on yourself and sort of
Invaluable. Like having all the guys we had there at the time, they're all super, super keen to chip in and help, and most of them keen to run with the systems we had there. Even now that I'm a few years in, some of those people have moved on. Well, most of them have moved on. I mean, even Mitch this year moving on. We're talking about next year sort of running our courses in parallel using that same structure that you put in place. And when you talk about having a community of like-minded people, even though he's moved, maybe traditionally that would mean, now we're going to go do our own thing, but having these systems in place, and again, being digital, there's no issues with us just being able to collaborate, super easy to collaborate, share resources, bounce ideas off each other. What's working for your course? Maybe I can try that with mine. Being able to just bounce ideas off other people, super easy with the system that you implemented. Now, yeah, we had the checklist there, and they're super helpful, but it's some of the other things, around maybe creating assessment where you're trying to create maybe an area of learning, things like that. The access that we had to you to be able to, give us those, verbal prompts that we might need to be able to understand how to create an area of learning, what outcomes we might link, how many we might need, things like that. It's that access that we had to you. That was the main thing. Like having the systems there was fantastic. Obviously, we could then follow those systems, but yeah, it's the coaching that you gave, just that guidance, I guess. Yeah, having that access to you was the main thing, I think.
if I was to offer, like, for example, just a one-on-one or a one to a small group mentoring and coaching, you would probably see that as nearly more valuable than the resources in the beginning. Or would you say
I'd say they have to both be there. Like having the resources are there, but unless you have someone sitting there next to you to say, this is how you use it, because I know coming to having all those systems there, as helpful as they are, if I just sat in there day one and you guys said, just dumped them all on my desk, said, here's all our checklists, do them,
Yeah.
that would have just, my head would have been spinning. It was
Yeah.
anyway, but
Yeah.
being able to sit down with you like as we needed them, one-on-one, and you say, okay, this is what this is how you use it. That was super important. So
Yeah.
you can't, I think you can't have one without the other.
What would you reckon would be the main priority for a new person coming in?
There's two things. It was just understanding the content that I was teaching, so I didn't go in and make a fool of myself. That was the most important thing to me, and yet just the general tips on behavior management. Like, again, don't want to go into it when you're new and just get absolutely owned and feel like you've lost credibility.
Yeah.
So they're the two things I remember being the main things I had anxiety about.
Knowing how to control an environment or manage the environment with the people in it, and then actually knowing what you're teaching about or delivering.
Yeah, and I think they're the same thing, really. Yeah, you're not going to have credibility. I felt I wasn't going to have credibility if I walked in there and knew that I didn't know what I was talking about.
Based on all the stuff that I've taught you over the years, and then all the resourcing, all that kind of stuff, what's been some of your biggest sort of wins?
Big standouts for me is my peers, but it was just really nice to be recognised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. So you managed to sort of break down that communication, which is one of the hardest things to do.
And just to hear that you're making a difference and that you're having the impact that you're setting out to have, that was good.
You went from a trade into teaching. Why did you make the shift?
Because I'd been mentoring apprentices, like that was sort of my thing. I was running a whole area, a department in the workshop I was in, and my passion had sort of developed over the last 5 years. I was in trade of taking those young blokes that had come out of school, those first, second year apprentices, trying to steer them in the right direction, and that's what I've become passionate about. And I'd also done a bit of sports coaching, and I really enjoyed that. Just that side of mentoring the young teenagers, I really enjoyed that. And then once my daughter was born, and I was doing all that overseas travel, I thought, well, I don't want to do that travel anymore. I have a passion for working with, teenagers.
Yep.
Let's just go into teaching.
No, that's really cool, because that sort of just highlights like it's a calling. It's like something you're actually wanting to do, to have that sort of sense of fulfillment by impacting others to improve on whatever skills they're trying to learn, but actually handing over the skills that you already know and fast tracking them so they don't make the same mistakes, I guess.
Yeah, that's it.
If you were to talk to anyone, say I was launching one-to-one or one-to-many sort of group coaching, teach someone the skills to, one, build rapport, two, create a course, and then just three, just actually make sure they get the results, what do you reckon you would say to those people?
I think that'd be an outstanding opportunity. Having experience working with you as a fresh teacher, just having that access to you and the way you were so calm, it just changed my entire experience. So I'd be saying, go for it. You got to jump on it.